Welcome to Today's Movies Suck.
Not all movies
No.
suck. It is like the music. Actually, what do you think's worse? Today's movies or today's music?
Music is worse.
Music worse.
Yeah, every now and then I can find a good movie. Not,
Yeah.
I don't even. I hardly ever listen to today's music.
Now, the thing I would say, I would list it with like special effects in movies, right? So you had the way they did special effects back then.
Pretty cool.
You know,
Practical.
Being practical, and once they switched to CGI, kind of gets.
Well, it was
really
bad at first, which is like 90s. It's 2000s.
Yes.
It got better.
It got better, but then it gets so saturated with it that it loses its wow factor.
Yeah.
Music is like that. They took the guitar away, took the saxophone away, took all the other instruments
Yeah, they
away.
just.
You lose the wow
Give me
factor.
that machine so I can program everything into there.
Yeah, so similarities, but I will say at least there are some good movies out there. Thank you, Tom Cruise.
So we had done a previous video of our top 10 favorite movies of the 80s.
Right, must-see movies.
Yes.
Today's list
is
is
gonna
not
be like-
must-see.
It's gonna be like guilty pleasures. Not really, because some of these movies are not really. They're almost mainstream. Some of them. So I can't say they're totally
Yeah.
guilty pleasures.
But
But
I
guilty
was-
pleasure usually is a bad movie someone really likes.
Yeah, all right, we're not gonna do that kind of movie.
Some of them might be bad.
So, the movies, what's your favorite movie? You wouldn't, yeah, this was my favorite. No, you wouldn't admit to, I don't know, you'd admit to like it. Let's just say they're movies we like, but most people would say they're either mediocre or worse.
Or they might be movies where you mention the title and people are like, I never heard of that.
That could be. All right, so here's some movies you've never heard of that we like.
Yeah.
But they weren't blockbusters.
So I'm gonna do 5 each. With movies that we find enjoyable, and you might find them too if you find
All right.
somewhere to watch.
All right, you want to start?
Sure. Why don't we start with the one we keep mentioning throughout a lot of videos? We've mentioned Midnight Madness.
Yes.
It's a Disney film.
Michael J. Fox's
Fox did it.
debut.
David Naughton is in it, who played the American Werewolf in
London.
London.
Yes. One of the guys in the villain van. In case you don't know, there's a villain.
There's five vans. Okay, so what it is a scavenger hunt movie. This
Which is fun.
Yeah. It starts off with these two skaters going around giving different colored envelopes to these 5 groups: white, green, yellow, red, and blue.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a group of nerds, group of jocks, group of
Women.
The
Good team and the bad team.
Yeah, the good team and bad team. Yeah, the villains and the heroes.
Anyways, we don't need to talk about everything in the movie, but one of the guys in the villain directed the movie Hitch with Will Smith. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah.
And there's just some funny in the villain.
There's just some good parts in it. And,
In the villain van, there's this really dorky guy, and he has some good lines.
Yeah.
He-
Now I don't know if this is a thing where you took you could even do it with a rubber band or a piece of string, and you did that thing with your fingers where it made like an intricate design. I don't know if people do that now.
I can't
There's one
remember.
thing we did when we were young.
Did we do that?
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, put your finger here, and it's like, oh, look at that.
And he did it, and he announces,
I did it.
and yet at the end, he actually found a very important clue, and they told him to shut up. So it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, Stephen First, big guy from
He has
St.
passed away.
Elsewhere was in.
He's
Yeah, he
passed away.
passed away. He was in the movie. So check that one out. It was one of those games that if I was in college, between that and the assassination game, Tag, those are the 2 games I would want to play if I was in college. And they let you. No, I don't think they'll let
Yeah,
you.
now a scavenger hunt is more like a race where by the end, you'd think everybody be. No, this was like every team was always at the same spot. I'm like,
Well, partly because one of the teams cheated. They
yeah,
just
I know.
followed the
This
other
is
team.
funny. So,
Anyways, check that one out.
Midnight Madness.
Okay. My first guilty pleasure, I'm just going to start right off with one that should have been a blockbuster based on who was in it, but it was considered a disaster, and that was Ishtar. And it had Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty in it as the top two stars. And today's people are like, who are they?
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman, Meet the Parents. Not the first one. He was actually in the
No, he was in the second
sequel.
one. Yeah, so, and he has some good movies. Obviously, Tootsie was one that I actually thought that should have won the Best Picture. Even though, Gandhi was
Marathon Man is a good one of his, which
Right.
is there's a show that came out on Amazon Prime. It really follows the.
Called Marathon Man?
No, it's not called Marathon Man, but
It follows the book it's based off of?
It's with Al Pacino.
Okay.
No, I can't remember.
Another star
I
based in
can't
the
remember the
70s.
title, but it's got a similar plot.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, so Ishtar, I don't remember most of the movie, but I do remember liking it. And these two guys who should not be musicians, the attempt at music in the beginning of the film, I found that part really funny.
Yeah, it was really hilarious.
I know Charles Grodin was in it, and he, again, we put it in one of our movies from the top 10, Midnight Run.
Run.
Not Midnight Madness. So I like Charles Grodin, he's in that. I don't know that I like many of his movies, but I like these two. And King Kong. When he got flattened by King Kong, I like that.
The 1978 version.
Yes. So, Ishtar. And is there any, you said there was a scene.
There's a scene where they were doing some bidding. They were pretending to be Warren Beatty was selling weapons or something to
So
the foreigners, and
so
it's
one
like
of them is speaking English.
And Dustin Hoffman pretended to know that language. And
Did
I think
he
they
tell
were,
Warren Beatty he knew the language?
No.
Okay.
They were trained. They were trying to pretend they were these guys, so the people that were watching him wouldn't know who they were actually.
Okay, so he was fooling some people,
Yeah, they were
and the
watching.
other people didn't have a clue what he was saying
Yeah.
because he made up the language. So, come on, does that not sound funny to you? Anyways, it was a disaster back then. I do think it has a cult following, probably. For that
yeah.
reason that it's considered disaster. People like
Well,
that movie, The Room. It's a disaster.
Here's movies that are considered bombs aren't necessarily because they're bad films.
No, it's because
just
they
because
put
they
a lot of movie
did not
money
make
out.
up the money that they
Right.
produced.
And today's movie would be Lightyear. Lightyear did not make the money back that it wanted to. Of course, that was for a different reason. We won't go into that. But back then, this was 2 stars. They probably both garnered, what, 20 million salary.
Yeah, right.
So-
Yeah, that's probably why.
That's probably why it failed, because they asked for too much money. Anyways, Ishtar, that's my first guilty pleasure.
All right, round 2. All right, number 2, mine. Flash Gordon, another movie we've already mentioned because we did Queen, and they of course did the soundtrack to that film.
Right.
Sort of Sam Jones.
Football player. I don't know that I
Max
remember
von
seeing him.
Sydow played Ming, Emperor Ming, I think is
He was famously in The Exorcist as the priest.
the priest, yeah.
Who performed that. Not the younger one, the older one.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton, who would be going to become
James
James
Bond.
Bond in 2 films.
And you did mention, like the last time you saw it, they left out the best scene.
They left out the best scene, the tree woodland creature that's hidden in this thing. They put their hand there like it's a test a game where they put their hands in, make sure the creature wouldn't bite them. All these holes they had to choose from.
And Flash Gordon fakes it like he got bit.
Yeah,
It's just a trick.
He says, "Trick you, Baron!" And he pushes him and runs away.
So, and then I have an ebook I'm writing. This is in it. I read, so now there's 2 women in it, right?
Yeah.
The girl that came with Flash Gordon to whatever planet they're on. What
Yeah.
planet was Ming on? I forget.
I don't know what his planet's called.
Hey, Volcon? It could have been. Anyways, and then there's a girl that's there at the wherever he ends up, right? Ornetta.
Princess, she's a princess.
I think her name's Ornetta Muti.
Okay.
I read that she was voted the most beautiful you know how People magazine has the most beautiful person. She was voted most beautiful woman in the world by an international magazine in a particular year. I forget which one. I think it was before Flash Gordon. Fun fact. Even though I've never seen her in anything else.
Yeah, and the ending ends with him jumping in a freeze frame.
So it's not all good. Oh, and the guy who's the Hawk guy, he's famous for something too. Oh gosh, his name's Brian.
Brian, he was in Rowan Atkinson's The First Black Adder series.
That's not what I thought about. See, I did my research like years ago.
Yeah, he does a lot of yelling in his acting too.
Yes.
But Topol is in it, he plays the scientist.
Topol!
Yeah, and he was Fiddler on the Roof. Well, he wasn't the Fiddler on the Roof, he was the dad.
Hey, he was in a James Bond movie too.
Oh yeah, 4 Guys Only.
So check out Flash Gordon and check out this Queen soundtrack, because that's the reason we mentioned it in the first place. All right, my number 2. Let's go with the one I just had you watch recently, and that would be Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Lots of people agree. They wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure. It was like, this one should be known and not a lot of people know. But let me just tell you want to see practical effects.
Their faces are insane.
Look at those clowns and try to figure out how they did that.
Yeah, because their faces look real,
and they look like
they're weird too.
People inside the costumes have to be that height or something. But yeah, so the clowns in general were good, and they did have to put a short clown in.
There was one year I went to Universal Studios where they do Halloween Horror Nights, and
did they have the killer clowns?
And they had what they call the 5 different scare zones.
Okay.
And one scare zone was the killer clown scare zone.
Oh, cool.
And they had them all walking
we went
around.
there.
At the time I had not seen the movie, so I didn't know.
But you and I went to Universal.
I don't know. They didn't have, when we went, they weren't having Halloween Horror Nights because they're like in their 20s right now.
Yeah.
So when we went, it was way before Halloween Horror Nights existed.
Right. So probably the only person that anybody would actually be familiar with when they see the movie is John Vernon, who would have been the dean in Animal House. He was in Was he in MASH too? I think he might have, the TV show. I can't remember.
Yeah, he might have.
Although I didn't like that show, so why that show was so popular, I don't know. Anyway, so that's my number 2.
All right, round 3. All right, my number 3 is Top Secret.
Also a debut movie for a famous person. Val Kilmer.
Was it his debut?
That was his first movie.
So
yes.
He had a movie called Real Genius. That
came out.
It wasn't sure which one was first.
No, Top Secret was his first.
Yeah, and he played like a heartthrob musician idol, and he was in a different country, probably Germany, I would assume.
Yes. So it's directed by the guys who did Airplane and the Naked Gun series.
And Hot Shots, part of
Hot Shots. That's right. So it's one of those rapid fire movies where you got to watch for the sight gags.
Yeah,
they're all over the place, and even the hear gags. You know, when they're on the train and he's learning to speak the language of whatever place, German. And it's
answering him.
No, it wasn't answering him. But some of the phrases that where it was given is like there's sauerkraut in my wiener schnitzel.
Oh yeah, no, they're weird phrases. Yeah,
they're funny. And I remember when they were in the club and they're announcing the musician. We've got a special guest here, and he gets up before he's announced, assuming it's supposed to be somebody else. So that got good things there.
Yeah, ballet scene was interesting.
Yeah,
not as interesting as the one in Modern Problems with Chevy Chase. That's
right.
That's a better ballet scene. That's clips on YouTube if you want to watch it. If you want to have a nice laugh.
Famous person in this, 2 famous people. Peter Cushing, who was in Star Wars. He was the guy leading the Death Star around. He was the driver.
Yeah, but Grand Martok.
Oh, okay. There you go. Something like that. He was only in the one
Star Wars fan.
and
Mark talking.
Also in a cameo appearance by Omar Sharif. Who was the main guy in Dr. Zhivago.
Yeah, that's amazing that he did this. He's like crushed in a car. Right. Windshield wipers going over his face. The fact that the guy like that did all drama movies.
Yes. And then I think
Those days sense of humor.
I think I might have mentioned my favorite part of that movie is at the end where they do the Blue Lagoon kind of take. They're on a deserted island, right?
Right.
And then suddenly the fortress that they're in is attacked. And it's chaos, but you only see their feet.
Yeah, they're running,
this way, they're running,
and then they stop to do a dance.
And choreography. So there's another movie to check out. Top Secret. All right, my number 3. We're on 3. Okay, it's also a spy movie, kinda. Kill and Kill Again. Would you say that's a spy movie?
Sort of, yeah.
I mean, probably closer to a kung fu movie.
Yeah, it follows like a
James Bond plot.
No, I was saying Bruce Lee's like Enter the Dragons, kind of like a parody of that.
Yeah, and it's actually a sequel. There was a first movie called Kill or Be Killed. I've never seen that one, but I've seen this one twice. And I like the kind of the way, it's like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, they go and gather their band before they go off to.
Each one's unique, and the one guy, they're at the end. They're all fighting their different opponents. This one of the teammates should have lost. He's a small, runny guy.
Yeah, well, the one guy he wears a ball cap. It reminds me of maybe that's where they got Mad Dog.
For the A-Team?
Could
be. Yeah, because he plays it like that. But there's a lot of screaming.
Yeah. we like the one guy. He's like a Superfly guy where he just glides along the he's not even walking or touching the ground. He's just floating.
He's David Blaine. Is that the magician where he does the levitating?
Yeah. Well, speaking of David, I would say his character is parodying David Carradine.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, he does look like David Carradine. Anyways, so James Ryan, he should have been a superstar.
Yeah.
Not really.
They all get together and they're driving to this bar. And
they get out.
There's this like hillbilly music and it's like, sounds rough.
Yeah. That's pretty good too. Yeah. And then did they?
It was like
a fight.
It was a comedy. Yeah, they did fight.
Yeah, it's a comedy pretty much. And the same plot as Val Kilmer's movie,
Top Secret. Yeah, because
there's a professor being
there's
held
a scientist that they need to rescue. Yes.
I didn't think about that till just now, but yeah, they're both comedies. No karate in Top Secret though. Okay.
Round 4. Okay, my next film is called Super Fuzz, there's actually Super Trooper. It depends on where you look. It was called Super Fuzz when we watched it on cable. It was on every day, pretty much. We watched it multiple times.
We watched it a lot. It was between that and Cannonball Run.
The movie does not hold up.
No, it does not hold up.
It's a bad movie. This is probably the worst movie on my list that I like. But, yeah.
Yes.
The guy should have died at the beginning. He gets caught in a nuclear blast and gets superpowers.
Instead, he's a superhero.
Yeah.
And his kryptonite is
the color red.
He doesn't find out until halfway through the movie.
And I never understood why he went to the one guy to ask him, like the guy would know, why am I losing my
Just
power?
Because he saw him the first time. That's the only explanation I see.
I thought maybe he got caught in it too, because that guy was gambling. I thought maybe that guy was making money because he had some powers of his own. I don't know.
Yeah. So I watched it. The star of this movie, Ernest Borgnine. Well, he's not the star of the movie. He's the only star you would know.
Yeah.
Unless you are into Terrence Stamp. He's got a partner called Bud York.
Okay.
I think Bud York died. Terrence Stamp is still alive. And he was an Italian star. He wasn't an American star. He was an Italian star. I've seen a few more movies of his. One I recommend would be that, what's the one with the train? And Henry Fonda's in it.
Oh, no, you're talking about
Yeah, I can't think of the movie.
You're talking about Terrence Hill.
Terrence.
You said Terrence.
You're right.
Terrence Hill is the star.
I got the names wrong. Terrence Stamp is
his
Zod
partner was Bud Spencer.
Bud Spencer. I said
He
Bud
died.
York, Bud
Yes.
Court. Those are two people
Bud
that
Spencer
exist,
died.
but not the people I mean. Okay, yeah. So Terrence Hill is a star.
Yeah, My Name is Nobody is the Henry
My
Fonda.
Name is Nobody. You check that one out too. It's very funny. Western though. But,
Yeah.
And he was in a lot of westerns.
Yeah. We like the scene where there's always these three goons of Mark Lawrence, who is also in a James Bond film, Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation from James Bond.
but he stops the three goons, gets them out of his car, and makes them do some funny things.
Now the question is, if you were one of the three goons, would you really do what he told you to do?
Yeah,
Like stand on one foot.
Yeah, they kick with your leg, and they were kicking like they were
Doing a
rockets.
chorus girl. And then the other was, you hit him, but you duck. So, not again. It's one of those where you like it because it's so stupid. But there is a scene. It's got some action too, because he catches a bullet in his teeth, which I forgot to mention. I just did Kill and Kill Again. That had bullet time, and I think I might have mentioned this in another movie, which is what apparently the Matrix special effects are called, bullet time, where he bends over backwards and the bullets are flying.
Oh, you're trying to think of when our last video that's not up yet. Well, it will be when this is up.
Okay. But yeah,
the cameras that go around.
The bullet time back then was somebody shot a gun and the camera is going right along with the bullet. That was called bullet time. Not the same as the Matrix, but it was actually called bullet time. Anyways, that's back to that movie. But let's jump forward again. Super Fuzz. The girl who is part of the villain crew. Yeah, she was famous in the past too. I think she was.
I hated her character.
Yeah, I didn't like her either. But she was.
Which is good because she's part of
in a John Wayne movie way back when. So this was her chance to get back into the movie. Whatever, you're done. Okay, we're on number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, Super Cop. Let's keep the spy theme going. Spies Like Us.
Yeah. Now, see, I would consider this more mainstream. That's why.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have picked it.
But here's the reason. It wasn't. I don't know that it was a blockbuster. Okay. And most critics would say it's dumb, so they would not recommend it. So therefore, it's got to be a guilty pleasure.
Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. I don't know if they've ever done a film together since.
No.
I mean, they might have, just not as partners.
Yeah, and I don't know. Were they on Saturday Night Live together in the same season?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Yeah. Just making sure, because some of them, I don't know how much. Some of them weren't even on Saturday Night Live for 2 seasons. That was it, right? Chevy Chase didn't do a bunch on Saturday Night Live. He's known for the pratfalling.
And the news.
Yes. So, but there's a joke in particular we won't tell you that's funny, and there is a scene in particular that's funny,
which we've mentioned.
We've already mentioned, but I mean, have you ever farted and got somebody else to
blame
say,
for it?
I'm sorry, or excuse me for it, even though they didn't do it? That's what happens in this movie. It's pretty good. Anyways, are there any other parts of that movie that are
It's been a
memorable?
while. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Bob Hope shows up. He's like, I'm glad I'm not sick because they pretend to be doctors.
Oh yeah, the doctor scene. Doctor.
Oh yeah, that's used on political things sometimes because.
Well, done famously on the airplane, obviously, with the pilots.
Right.
Over.
Under. Yeah. Clearance. Anyways, back to the Abrams. Okay, so Spies Like Us. I think we've already mentioned it because we did. Did we do the
Was it Duran Duran or
no?
One of our
the music where I had Spies Like Us is one of my songs, and you didn't put that out.
Oh yeah, okay, right.
Okay, but that's my number 4.
Okay, round 5. And the last film from each of us. Mine is Alligator. Now this comes, I'm sure, off the heels of the Jaws parodies, or trying to cash in on that.
Rip-offs.
Yeah, rip-offs. And That thing was cute. When at the beginning, this girl has an alligator, a pet alligator is like this big. It's just, I don't get it.
There are a bunch of movies you can see came from stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if the one I just recently watched, my family watched it. Willard, I told you about, and Ben. I don't know if that came before or after Jaws, but talk about cute. Ben is cute. Little mouse.
When the alligator, the dad flushes it down the toilet, and of course, years later, it's
is that
huge.
a thing?
What?
Can an alligator actually
Get into the sewers?
Have you ever seen the toilet? That doesn't look like it's big enough for an alligator to go through. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
that was a theory.
It shows it. It shows it land. Well, even at the end of the movie, okay, when it's all at the end of the movie, they resolve it. And then another alligator comes out, so it's like the sequel going to be happening.
Right.
So,
I think was there a sequel? I think there was a sequel.
I don't know.
I'm almost positive there was a sequel. I do remember I had a movie book, a big thick movie, book that reviewed a lot of movies, and specifically it said "Watch for the graffiti."
Yeah, I saw that too, and I've never seen it.
I always look for graffiti.
You would have to pause it and go frame by frame to read it. But memorable scenes, I feel bad for the one girl who her friends make walk the plank. And you wonder, how did that alligator get in that swimming pool? Because it's like the size of the pool.
Right.
And when it breaks out into the alley.
I like that. When it comes up through the road, that's a strong alligator.
But that happens right after they go looking for the alligator. They take and they have like they fan out and they walk through these sewers and then they come out the other end and go, we didn't see anything. How did that happen?
If it's that big, right?
Because the next scene is him breaking through the pavement,
which means he was
still down there. So right. I don't. But after he breaks through, the cop who couldn't get his door open, so he goes to the window. And here it comes. I'm like, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
So really good movie.
It's supposed to be a horror movie, but again, it's fun.
Comedy, yeah. At the end, when the way he needs to get out of this, and the car comes and parks its wheel on
right under the manhole, yeah. And that's happened in a couple of movies too. So Robert Forster would have been the star. I don't know that he was in a whole boatload of stuff, but he would have been the title character. Well, not the title character. That would have been Pam Grier. But he was in
Jackie Brown.
Quentin
Tarantino. He was also in Last Man Standing. I believe as Tim Allen's dad.
Oh yeah, You're right. He was. Right before he died. Okay, and then mine, so that was the letter A movie. Mine's the letter Z movie.
A to Z.
Zorro the Gay Blade. Would that fly today? Talking about a Zorro that's gay?
Yeah.
I suppose they can make it. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, George Hamilton, who is still alive.
Can you believe that?
Yeah. He's most famous for his tan, I think.
Maybe. The only other movie I can think of with him in it is that vampire movie. With
oh yeah, Love at First Bite.
Love at First Bite. That's right.
Yeah, there's a good line in there that I'm not going to mention now. Just
what, the first Love at First Bite movie? Or the Zorro?
The Love at First Bite movie. So yeah, that has Richard Benjamin in it. I don't know if he directed that. Rich Benjamin, the guy who made this one film called Saturday the 14th that is horrible.
And I remember wanting to see that so badly.
Oh yeah, we watched it all the time when we were kids and loved it. But it's for kids. It's not for adults.
Anyway, Zorro the Gay Blade.
Well, speaking of, George Hamilton was also one of the murders in 2 Columbo episodes. We mentioned Columbo a couple.
So he was friends with Columbo. All right, so Zorro the Gay Blade, what's funny is it's a precursor to V for Vendetta, right? Because V for Vendetta at the end, all the citizens have the same mask on, right? And that was in Zorro the Gay Blade. And they got this party where everybody's showing up saying, here I am! And it's another Zorro. He goes, it's you! And then here comes another one. And he doesn't actually know who really is Zorro because they all are Zorro. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but George Hamilton plays he plays the guy who plays Zorro,
And
his cousin that comes because
he broke
his leg and his cousin agrees to be Zorro.
Oh, which is the cousin the gay one, or
his cousin is the
so
gay
the
one.
one that broke his leg was not gay, and he had to rely on his gay friend,
so
cousin.
when he was Zorro, he was all in black like Zorro is.
Okay.
And then when the cousin took over, all his costumes were
Pink.
flamboyant and different colors.
He
would not wear
He
black.
had an umbrella. I do remember that. That's funny. And then I remember the villain guy in a Jerry Lewis movie. I think it was Which Way to the Front. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, I told you it probably wasn't, but he was. It was Ron Levin, and he was Rachel Green's dad in Friends.
Okay. All right. So there's
10,
what?
10 guilty pleasure
guilty
movies you
pleasures.
guys watch and have a little fun with.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't like them.
I booted another movie. We went through a bigger list. There's some that I have a guilty pleasure of specific scenes, not the whole movie. Soul Man would be one of them.
Which way to the front? Which way to the front would be on
Which
there?
way to the front
If
was...
we were not doing 80s movies, we
that
would
was
put that.
not an 80s movie.
It's not a great movie. It's got hilarious scenes.
It does have hilarious scenes.
Most famously when they're like trying to imitate how he walked.
Right. Okay.
So
That's your guilty pleasures from us.
thanks for watching.
And back to music after this.
Bye.
Bye.